Uttamam
Dharmam Charan Uttamam
Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tojayamudiraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva the author. Shringatam Swakata Krishna
Krishna
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha
Punya Kirtanaha
Vidyantasto Bhadrani
Vidyantasto Bhadrani
Nirunoti Suhritsatam
Vidhinam
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Now we have a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a ribbon incorporates a loose one. These have these little magnet clips. I guess they disappeared. So we're on Canto 2, Chapter 1, the first step in God realization. And it's text 27. Ura. No, that's 8. You have to do both because there's no purport on 27. So. Dve Januni Sitalam Vishva Morter Dve Januni Sutalam Vishva Morter Uru Vayam Vitalam Chatalam Cha Urudvayam Vitalam Chatalam Cha Mahitalam Taj Jaganam Mahipate Mahitalam Taj Jaganam Mahipate Nabhastalam Nabhi Saro Grinanti Nabhastalam Nabhi Saro Grinanti Dve Januni Sutalam Vishvamorter Urudvayam Vitalam Chatalam Cha Mahitalam Taj Jaghanam Mahipate Nabhastalam Nabhi Saro Grinanti Dve Januni Sutalam Vishvamorter Urudvayam Vitalam Chatalam Cha Mahitalam Taj Jaghanam Mahipate Nabhastalam Nabhi Saro Grinanti Dve Januni Sutalam Vishvamorter Urudvayam Vitalam Chatalam Cha Mahitalam Taj Jaghanam Mahipate Nabhastalam Nabhi Saro Grinanti
Januni Sutalam Vishwamorter Urudvayam Vitalam Chatalam Cha
Uru Jalam Vitalam Jalam Cha
Mahitalam Ta Jaganam Mahipate
Mahitalam Jajanam Mahimate
Navastalam Nabi Sorogrananti
Nabastalam Nabi Soro Vinanti
Vejanani Sutalam Vishwamurte
Dvajanalam Sitalam Vishwamurte
Udvayam Vitalam Chatalam Cha
Uru Jalam Vitalam Cha
Mahatalam Taj Jaganam Mahapate
Mahatalam
Navastalam Nabi Sarvagananti
Namastalam Nabi Soro Vinanti
Vejanani Sutalam Vishwamurte
Dvajanani Sitalam Vishwamurte
Uruvayam Vitalam Chatalam Cha
Uru Jalam Vitalam Cha
Vitalam Ta Jaganam Mahipate
Mahitalam Vajanam Mahimate
Bhaskaram Nabi Sarovananti
Nabastalam Nabi Soro Vinanti
Anybody else? Ladies? Go ahead. Somebody's got to go first.
Dvejeno Sutalam. Is that what you're doing?
That's the one. Wait, yeah.
Dvejeno Sutalam Vishwamurte
Dvajanani Sutalam Vishwamurte
Udvayam Vitalam Chatalam Cha
Uru Jalam Vitalam Chalam Cha
Vitalam Ta Jaganam Mahipate
Mahitalam Vajanam Mahimate
Navastalam Nabi Sarovananti
Namastalam Nabi Soro Vinanti
Anybody else? No takers. Okay. Word meanings. Dwe,
Dway two
Januni,
Januni
two knees.
two knees
Sutalam,
Sutalam
planetary system named Sutala.
the planetary system Sutalam
Vishwamurte,
Vishwamurte
of the universal form.
of the universal form
Urudvayam,
Urdvayam
the two thighs.
the two thighs
Vitalam,
Vitalam
the planetary system named Vitala.
the planetary system named Vitala
Cha,
Cha
also.
also
Atalam,
Atalam
planets named Atala.
the planets named Atala
Cha,
Cha
and
and
Mahitalam,
Mahitalam
the planetary system named Mahitala.
the planetary system named Mahitala
Tat,
Tat
of that.
of that
Jaganam, the
Jaganam
hips.
the hips
Mahipate,
Mahipate O King
Nabhastalam,
Nabhastalam
outer space.
outer space
Nabhisaraha,
Nadisara
the depression of the navel.
the depression of the navel
Grinanti,
Grinanti
they take it so.
they take it so
So, translation by His Divine Grace, Peace of Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada
The knees of the universal form are the planetary system of the name Sutala, and the two thighs are the Vitala and Atala planetary systems. The hips are Mahitala, and outer space is the depression of his navel. Please repeat. The knees of the universal form
the knees of the universal form
are the planetary systems,
are the planetary system
singular planetary system of the name Sutala,
of the name Sutala
and the two thighs
and the two thighs
are the Vitala and Atala planetary systems.
are the Vitala and Atala planetary systems.
The hips are Mahitala,
The hips are Mahitala
and outer space is the depression of his navel.
and outer space is the depression of his navel.
So there's no purpose, so let's go to the next one too. What I'll do, I'll read the Sanskrit. You can all do the word meanings with me, so you're speaking the Sanskrit of it anyways, and then we'll proceed with the text. Ura stalam jyotir anikam asya riva maharvadanam vajanasya tapo bharatin vidar adipumsaha Satyam tu Shirshani Sahasra Shirshnaha. So the word meanings are Uraha,
Uraha,
high.
high.
Stalam,
Stalam,
place.
place.
Parentheses, the chest.
The chest.
Jyoti Anikam,
Jyoti Anikam,
the luminary planets.
the luminary planets.
Asya,
Asya,
of him.
of him.
Capital H, that's Griva,
Griva,
the neck.
the neck.
Maha,
Maha,
the planetary system above the luminaries.
the planetary system above the luminaries.
Vadanam,
Vadanam,
mouth.
mouth.
By,
Exactly.
exactly. Janaha,
Janaha,
the planetary system above Mahar.
the planetary system above Mahar.
Asya,
Asya,
of him.
of him.
Again, capital H. Tapaha,
Tapaha,
the planetary system, the planetary system above the Janas.
the planetary system above the Janas.
Janas, so that's Janas, it looks like a capital J, so it's not like a lot of Janas. And Janas is a name. Varatim,
Varatim,
forehead.
forehead.
Vidu
Vidu
is known.
is known.
Adi,
Adi,
the original.
the original.
Pumsaha,
Pumsaha,
personality.
personality.
Satyam,
Satyam,
the topmost planetary system.
the topmost planetary system.
To
But
Shirshani, the
Trishani,
head.
the head.
Sahasra,
Sahasra,
1,000.
1,000.
Shirshna,
Sheshna,
one with heads.
one with heads.
Okay, the translation is, I'll read it, you can repeat it, it's like normal. The chest of the original personality of the gigantic form is the luminary planetary system. His neck is the Mahar planets. His mouth is the Janas planets. And his forehead is the Tapas planetary system. The topmost planetary system, known as Satyaloka, is the head of he who has 1,000 heads. So, please repeat. The chest of the original personality,
The chest of the original personality
of the gigantic form,
of the gigantic form
is the luminary planetary system.
is the luminary planetary system.
His neck is the Mahar planets.
His neck is the Mahar planet.
His mouth is the Janas planets.
His mouth is the Janas planets.
And his forehead is the Tapas planetary system.
And his forehead is the Tapas planetary system.
The topmost planetary system,
The topmost planetary system,
known as Satyaloka,
known as Satyaloka,
is the head of he who has 1,000 heads.
is the head of he who has 1,000 heads.
So the purport is, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Effulgent luminary planets, like the sun and the moon, are situated almost in the mid-place of the universe. And as such, they are to be known as the chest of the original gigantic form of the Lord. And above the luminary planets, called also the heavenly places of the universal directorate demigods, are the Mahar, Janas, and Tapas planetary systems. And above all, the Satyaloka planetary system, where the chief directors of the modes of material nature reside, namely Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. This Vishnu is known as the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, and he acts as a supersoul in every living being. There are innumerable universes floating on the causal ocean, and in each of them, the representation of the Virat form of the Lord is there along with innumerable suns, moons, heavenly demigods, Brahmas, Vishnus, and Shivas, all of them situated in one part of the inconceivable potency of Lord Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10:42. Born in the darkness of ignorance, my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge, and offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So 10:42 is Atava Bahu Naitena Kim Yatena Tavarjuna Vishtabhyam Kyaham Idam Krishnam Ekam Shena Stito Jagat But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Purport identifies the single fragment. The Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universe by his entering into all things as the Super Soul. So, this is describing a brief description of the universe. And the universes, which are gone into in great detail in the 5th canto. And very difficult to understand because it's very different from what we see or think we see with telescopes and so on. So it's very difficult to understand. So even for the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium, they had a whole lot of trouble. I don't know if they're still struggling with it or if they got it worked out. How to depict this thing, because there were different opinions how to depict it. So it's not easy, and I'm not going to try to talk about that so much. Because I have immediate questions like, how could the luminary planets like the sun be midway? Don't they have the sun shining on the higher planetary system? Seems kind of depressing without the sun. So I can't even figure that out. So it says the luminary planets, well, that is the sun. Okay, so then the sun and the moon. And above them, so don't they have a sun? So this, I can't figure this out. It works out in some good way, but I don't know what it is. So anyway, this just shows that we can't directly understand this. It's described in the description in the 5th canto. Well, all these descriptions, we have to take into account that there are other dimensions. So we may look and see, and also remember, we're only seeing what we see from this planet and the orbit of this planet. So we're on the surface with the telescopes, or we have a telescope orbiting and taking pictures, but not that much further away. So then we think we know what we're looking at. This universe is described, I don't know what, it's much smaller. It's like 4 billion miles or something like that in the 5th canto, much smaller than the scientists say it is. So, and yet they say there's millions of universes. So we're saying the universe is unlimited, so how can there be millions of anything? So because it's already unlimited. But it has a boundary according to the 5th canto, but there are unlimited numbers of universes. So we don't really know what we're looking at with telescopes. One thing I was going to bring out is they have this theory of they have this theory of how far away everything is. How they see these that they call galaxies, and they try to calculate how many light years away. I don't know how. I know what their theory is, but at least I know a basic thing about their theory. How they know that theory is true, there's no way to prove it, because what we have is we're just measuring light waves that comes here. Anything else you want to figure out the distance, you can triangulate. Like you can measure it from, like you want to know how tall a tree is. So a tree is here, right? So you can measure it, you don't know this height, but you could go X amount of distance here, and X amount of distance here, and calculate if they're level or not. You can put that in your calculations. And then you can measure the angle, and you can measure the height in your sight. You can measure like that. And you can calculate the height of a tree by the angles here, and by where the tree hits, somehow by geometry. I took geometry in 10th grade, and I loved it, and I aced it, and it was so easy and natural for me. I can't remember a thing because it made sense. So now I can't remember a thing. But I know that you can do that. You can measure angles and measure areas, distance, and things like that. But when it comes to stars, the distance is so much greater. The far distance is so much greater than the height of the triangles compared to the amount of triangulation we can get, say one side of the sun or the other. If it's actually so many light years away, then it would be like taking two dots that are practically touching each other and trying to triangulate the distance of something that, by angles, something that's like 10 miles away or something. You can't do it. So that triangulation doesn't work. So they have this redshift theory. I don't know what else they have, but I learned about this. That somehow when light is coming toward you, when it's gone, it shifts to red or something, and you can somehow figure the distance by the amount of red light or something. But there's no, I don't know how they can prove that because they can't go there and double check it. So it's a theory. And there's certain kinds of aspects of light that they measure. So according to this theory, they figure out how far away the stars are. We don't actually know. We don't know if their theories are right. And in fact, they change their theories a lot. So there's a devotee who's very faithful to Prabhupada on the internet. He said, proposing the idea that these galaxies we see are reflections within the shell of the universe. Maybe they could also be much smaller structures that we don't understand, that are not so far away, that are faint and nearby, and we got this whole theory. So we don't know, really. But the Bhagavatam says distances, it describes these planetary systems, and we have to understand they're in different dimensions, because we can't see the demigods. Suppose they come here. We can't see them unless they choose to make themselves visible to us, because they're subtle. They're higher quality, subtle bodies, and our eyes may not even register anything about that. So they would have to make themselves, like Krishna, if he comes here, he has to make himself visible to our material eyes. So otherwise we can't see pure spirit, can't see with these eyes. Anyways, this description of the universe, the universal form, describing these planetary systems and describing the higher systems that are somehow above the luminary system, all this stuff, I don't know how we can understand it except just take it as is and say, well, it's like that in some way that I can't understand. So I'm sure that if you have materially, physically, if you have a light source here and you have a planet up here or something, there'll be some darkness or something, I don't know. So how that works, it's different from what we would think. So that's my point here. The other thing is interested in about this purport is discussing again more about the innumerable expansions of Krishna. There's Krishna in the spiritual world, and he expands to Balaram, who's also in the spiritual world, is playing as his brother. And then there, on that level, they expand on that same level for it to be available to all the devotees. Expand unlimitedly so that everybody gets to see him. And even though there's quadrillions of gazillions of souls up there, unlimited space, unlimited planets, and so on. Then he expands to lesser, well, somewhat less, because you can't be in Goloka Vrindavan unless you're purely loving Krishna and would totally respect his intimate pastimes. If you don't want to respect his intimate pastimes, you got to go, because it's very, very personal and very delicate. That Krishna has all these fine pastimes with his devotees, so many different kinds. It's very, very, very personal, and so Krishna is protective. So if you don't want to respect that to some degree, then you got to go to a lesser. So even the other Vaikuntha planets, you're not allowed that much intimacy. You can see Krishna's form as Vishnu or some maybe two-arm form, like Brahmachandra, perhaps. But you cannot see Krishna's intimate dealings with the gopis and so on. So you have to really be ready to understand at that level, to be there. So nevertheless, there's no place where Krishna's expansions are not. They're everywhere. There's no gaps where you can go into some kind of a cul-de-sac or off some dead end or something, get lost and there's no Krishna there. Krishna is everywhere. There's no place you can go. The only way we can get lost is in our own attitude and get covered. Krishna is always with us, always in control. We're always protected, always being helped. And always we can worship Krishna at that level where we're at. It's always available, always possible. So that's why we have so many religions in this world that have different degrees of understanding of God. And so even at a level where you don't even know what sinful activities to avoid, say, there's a way that you can worship God at that level. And even you don't want to join one of these religions where you can see God in nature. So we're talking about the Virat Rupa, the presence of God in nature. Of course, is the super soul, the And of course, he's also impersonally present by his effulgence. That's the Brahma Jyoti. And he's the Brahman. The Brahman is the fact that there is a spiritual dimension. It's all Krishna and spirit souls. It's Brahman. By the way, there's 4 different definitions of Brahman in the Bhagavad Gita. Maybe I should read them. I should refresh you. Since I brought that up. Let's see. Where's this class? Brahman. 1. The individual soul. 2. The impersonal, all-pervasive aspect of the Supreme. 3. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. 4. The Mahat Tattva, or total material substance. And just for ease of my mind, instead of having to memorize on time 4, I said, well, whatever is spiritual. The Mahat Tattva, the material substance, is originating in the spiritual energy, but an inferior aspect of the spiritual energy of Krishna. And Krishna and Supreme Personality of Godhead, the impersonal, all-pervasive aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual souls, whatever is spiritual is Brahman. But that doesn't tell you anything about relationships or personality or anything like that. So then we can start understanding that God as a person is present in everything. So that's what this chapter is about. The first step in the God realization is starting to meditate on the universe as a body of the Lord, because he's within it. He's like the soul in the universe. So meditate that all what you see is parts of the body of God. And so that way it's a beginning of God realization, because there's something more than just what we see. There's another dimension. So that's what this is. And it's incorporated. It's not like we're beyond it. So why are we? I used to feel it when I was new. It was all about Krishna. Why do we have to read this? And but you understand as you go along that we actually need, on all levels of our existence, we need levels of understanding of Krishna. Because supposing we have to just go out and deal with nature, suppose we have to cut a bunch of briars or something, because they're overgrowing an important path, something like that, or getting into the garden or something. So you have to deal with nitty-gritty, deal with nature. So even then, you need to, if you want to always be thinking about Krishna, you need all levels of God realization to make you whole in your Krishna consciousness in every level that you're at. So every kind of activity and so on, in levels of understanding. Like I used to be a bird watcher, so I still sometimes like to identify a bird. So I could easily, it could be my hour, I could easily forget, but I can also easily remember, well, there's a super soul in that bird. So it can give me something to think, way to think about Krishna in any situation, so I'm saying. And then when you read about, there's so many ways that Krishna expands himself. I didn't even finish explaining because after he expands himself outside of Goloka Vrindavan, where the intimate pastimes are, then he has all these quadruple expansions, and then they expand more and more and more. It seems almost like mathematical and geometric how he expands. So this is the other point I was thinking about, that when I first heard about this, and there's different Vishnu expansions with different names according to how they hold, or different items in which hand. In fact, this is like man-made mathematics or something. I didn't like it. But then, if you think that each item that he's holding has this different purpose and a different mood connected to it, is the conch shell for calling the devotees, the flower for attracting the devotees, or somehow it's a symbol of peace and beauty that the devotees would relate to about him, and the chakra for killing the demons, and the mace for killing the demons, like that. Each item has its different mood and different purpose. So he holds them in different hands, and each hand, if you think about it, hands have their different degree of importance in a way. Although with Krishna, every part of his body can do everything, but I bet you in Goloka Vrindavan, he eats with his right hand. He does eat, and he eats probably with his right hand, because, that's what's done. So why would he do different? Eat with his feet or something. So although he can be on the altar and eat with his eyes, but when he does the actions, different hands mean different things. And so you hold different items in different hands. That takes care of all kinds of minute varieties of mood of the Lord and the devotees in relation to him. So when you think about it, there could be a purpose to that, all that time. So all these expansions, how they're multiplied out kind of mathematically. And then the Purusha avatars, the three Purusha avatars, one breathing out all the universes, one entering into each universe, and then within each universe, expanding and accompanying each soul, and being in each atom and supporting the universe, and being the maintainer of everything. All this is expanding to leave no place untended, no place where any soul could be without God. And so therefore, it's sort of like, it came to my mind the vision of the beehive, where they have the honeycomb is hexagonal shapes, 6-sided shapes. And that's all beehives are like that, 6-sided shapes. And in fact, you get a mass of bubbles together, they'll be similar, it's like 6-sided. Well, of course, they're 3-dimensional, but they'll be like that. They'll have these little flat planes between them. So the hexagon, it can be calculated by geometry and mathematics to be the most efficient use of space. It holds the most honey in the most number of cells in the same space without wasting any space at all, because a little flat size, they mix. If you have them all square, then if you have them all square, you can't get quite as many cells in, because if you have them round, you can they're not, they can overlap a little bit because they're round, but then they have little cracks between them where the roundness curves away. So there's a little bit of wasted space. So the hexagon, the flattens all the sides where they are packed in there, and every space is used, and it can be calculated by using geometry and mathematics to calculate the area inside each shape. It's the most efficient. So similarly, all these different expansions of Krishna leave no space. It's the most efficient. It's not all moods, all areas, all places, all aspects. It's not just like a physical, space thing. It's also all aspects of all moods, all emotions, all kinds of connections, all levels of connections. It's all taken care of. That's why I just had the image of the honeycomb, but not that Krishna is a honeycomb. But, similarly, every aspect is there. So every kind of relationship. So that's what I thought of when I was reading this. So, and in so many universes, unlimited universes, again, multiplying, so many innumerable suns, moons, heavenly demigods, Brahmas, Vishnus, and Shivas, all of them situated in one part of the inconceivable potency of Lord Krishna. So there's only 1/4 of all the existence, which is all unlimited, and Krishna is maintaining everything, related to everybody, everywhere in this. And there's unlimited Vaikuntha planets, and only 1/4 of all the unlimited existence is the material world, full of millions of universes that are so huge, it's inconceivable, and all very wonderful. And at that point, I run out. How do you know that I'm running out? It's like psychic, I don't even, finish the sentence, that's going to be my last sentence.
I look at your notes.
Look, I didn't write anything down.
Okay.
Okay, what?
Bhagavad Gita 10:42 in the purport, it tells us also, and this is referred from the previous one, the Lord here tells Arjuna there is no point in understanding how things exist in their separate opulence and grandeur. Krishna talking to Arjuna, Arjuna should know, or he should know, that all things are existing due to Krishna's entering them as supersoul. And that agrees with the point well made. Also, being in a deluded state, in this delusion or illusion.
With this covered, all the species cover every different mood you could possibly have, too.
Right.
Is that what you want to say?
That those that are in delusion can lead others into delusion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's covered too. That's also
So,
possible.
You said that earlier then.
You want to be in rebellion, you can go find some friends who will help you do it.
So you can find darkness. At least you think you're in the darkness, but wherever Krishna is light.
The super soul will be there. They'll
Right.
be helping you do your delusion.
Yeah.
And you just can't see it. The only way we can get lost is by being covered up by our attitude. Our attitude, causes the covering. We're never lost.
And it can be group delusion too.
Yeah, of course. Anything else? Yeah. Do you have Bessie hand? Do you have your hand up?
Yeah. You said Krishna is always with us. And looking out for everybody. You never get away from him. So why is it that some people can suffer some serious calamities?
That kind of thing doesn't really bother Krishna very much. He doesn't want his devotees to suffer, but he knows that we're not that body. We're only an illusion that we're suffering. Suffering is only caused by our illusion. The material nature that our bodies are made of has its causes and effects. And then the way we suffer or enjoy, that's by our attitude. So we're attached. And we wouldn't be in those positions if we didn't have bad karma. It's not like we just close off and don't care about when we see suffering. Because we care, Krishna doesn't want us to be in the material world, period. But details like somebody's suffering right now, okay, that's routine because you got this karma and that's what happens and so on. And he knows that we're not going to die, we're just going to experience death of the body. So that's why he wasn't really worried about the battle of Kurukshetra, and Arjuna was. Arjuna was feeling it more sentimentally. But we should be compassionate. But the compassion should be of the sort that we understand these are lost souls. We should try to get people closer to Krishna. Let the materialists be compassionate. They want to do good and so on, and they have all these agencies and organizations and all these ideas about how to help others who are suffering. They can do that. There's a lot of people doing that. We should try to help people get out of the system of suffering. That's what we should try to do. But yeah, he allows all the suffering. Yeah.
You said that suffering is due to the karma. So what was with the Pandavas and Queen Kunti?
Okay. Pastime. Drama, pastime. He had a purpose to fulfill. Devaki's babies who were killed, there was a purpose in that. Everything turns out to have a purpose. And when, say, Draupadi's sons were murdered, they were souls who were then taken somewhere else. We see things with just like we see the universe according to the light that comes to the surface, and we try to figure out what all those lights mean. Just the same, we see bodies dying. We have a certain interpretation. Krishna has a completely different angle of vision. So he sees nobody dying, just things changing. But we have these attachments. And even there's a terrific pain because we're attached to the body. But it's also like pastimes. Pure devotees go through this drama. Why did Jaya Vijaya have to experience being demons? They did love Krishna. They made a mistake, but they certainly loved Krishna. And they had to come and be demons and hate Krishna for a certain amount of lifetimes. But for Krishna's pastime. It seems hard to understand, but at first, why Krishna makes suffer. But that's our sentimental understanding of what the suffering is. Yes?
When you talk of attitude, I never really, I've been affiliated with Krishna consciousness for years. I've never heard anyone speak of attitude. I see that as part of the material world. So would you say that you're talking about the senses? Like the attitude comes from our senses?
Well, the original attitude thing, in the spiritual world, everybody has a positive attitude towards serving Krishna. Attitude is like it's sort of like where you're aiming your energy or something, where you're aiming your thinking. And everybody has a positive attitude towards serving Krishna. Except, every once in a while, somebody gets an idea maybe I'd like to be Krishna. So then the attitude towards Krishna shifts, and it's more like envy. And I want, how can I be like Krishna? So then, because of that attitude, you get put in the material world, but you start off at a high level, but because you get more and more attracted to the modes of nature and the sense gratification offered, you go down. And so the attitude is more and more away from Krishna toward me. What can I do for me? And so the more we have this attitude away from Krishna, the more ignorance we get, the more karma we accumulate because of our attachment. You only get karma because you're attached to the fruits. So we get into this world and we experience the modes of nature, we experience sense gratification, we want more. And so we get attached to the enjoyment, the hope of enjoyment, and therefore sometimes we have to enjoy bad karma. So I still believe that I'm the one receiving it, so I'm enjoying it in that sense. However, I don't like it. So that's bad karma. And the more we have this attitude away from Krishna, the more we can't see him. Because we didn't want to. We want to see this other stuff. So that's what it means. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a cross between pain and pleasure. How much pain you want before you come back to God, before you see Krishna? More positive light. Is that what you're trying to? The pleasure we look for in this material world is for me. I want to enjoy. Or perhaps I've extended, I want to be a little unselfish in it for these other people that I want to be unselfish toward, so I want them to enjoy. So sometimes somebody will sacrifice themselves to save somebody else's body, sacrifice their own body to save somebody else's body, and all of this is still on the material world level. It's still about somebody who's going to enjoy separately from Krishna. So really we need to rise above all of that and understand we're not these bodies, we're eternal spirit souls, and our only happiness is going to be when we serve Krishna. So the more you take up that attitude, the more your vision clears, and the more you're able to see Krishna is everywhere. If you don't have that attitude of serving Krishna, that to know that I'm not this body, why am I trying to enjoy it, then the more you have that, then the more you start to see Krishna everywhere. And the less you have it, the more you think, I want to enjoy, I want to be the enjoyer, the less you can see Krishna everywhere. Because that's not what you want to see. You want to see how I can enjoy. So that's the attitude I'm talking about. And sometimes within the material world, we can have different kinds of attitudes too. But the essential attitude is, I will serve Krishna or I won't serve Krishna. That's the essential attitude. Then we come here, we don't want to serve Krishna, then we have all different kinds of attitudes within a certain range. Till we decide to have an attitude back towards serving Krishna. And then we can start to move back toward where we can see Krishna again. That makes sense? Anybody else? Yeah.
You were talking about expansions of Krishna.
The what? Krishna?
Expansions of Krishna.
Expansions.
So in particular, I have a question about the deity expansion of the spiritual master, or any deity, but this happened in another temple where they said that we do not need to offer anything to Prabhupada deity after it's already been offered on the altar. But I thought that aren't they simultaneously one but also different?
Is that, are you talking like, say, the ghee lamp?
Yeah, anything, like, I might, like, not to put it on his head, not to let us put it, this flower to, he's already been offered just to show it. So I thought that confused me because wouldn't it be more personal to see each deity as simultaneously one and different?
Well, what I heard was when we offer to Krishna Murti, or no, Prabhupada Murti out here, then after we offered it to Prabhupada and the deities on the altar, then it comes out here. It's like completing it. And I think it's probably because so that everybody can feel personally serving Prabhupada. Because it's already offered to Prabhupada on the altar, but at the same time you can complete that offering by a gesture that involves everybody serving the Murti here. So that's my understanding.
What did you mean by offering? You meant somebody going up and offering it again?
Well,
We normally would bring it up as though Prabhupada
like the way
taking
the
the
Guru was saying, just show it. Like
Yeah,
I've seen
right.
people put the flower to Prabhupada's nose, but they said, no, you don't need to do that. It's already offered, just show it. But to me, like each deity, like for instance, we got Rukmini Gaurkis, we have Radha, but don't they have a completely different mood, and there's a different, and so simultaneously I'm trying to understand, they're different, but they are the same Krishna and...
I think I got something new that I clarified. When we offer to the deities, we offer first to Prabhupada. Then we offer to the deities, because we aren't supposed to offer directly. Prabhupada's supposed to help us offer to the deities. So then after that, it's prasadam, and Prabhupada gets prasadam. So we offer again as prasadam down and on the altar, and then complete that, offering it here. It's non-different. Does that make sense now?
Yes.
Does that make sense to you? Say that?
Yeah.
Yes. Because I was thinking about Sri Upanishad where it says everything is complete in itself. And I was wondering if that refers to Krishna's expansions also, because they're all Krishna, but they also can be complete in themselves and be individual. And so I was thinking about them.
Yeah, the expansions below Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna expands himself as Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan too. But then below Goloka Vrindavan into the Vaikuntha planets, it's Vishnu expansions, where they might have 4 arms, they might have 2 arms. They're still in the category of Vishnu expansions. And they still come from the quadruple expansions. And what was I going to say? Oh, they have 60 qualities where Krishna has 64. Krishna in Vrindavan has 4 extra things that are highly personal that he does not manifest elsewhere, like the particularly special pastimes with the devotees in Vrindavan, playing his flute, particularly special flute playing like that. And there's 4 of them. And I think peacock, wearing the peacock that we're supposed to be wearing, I can't remember for sure if that's true. But anyways, they're equal to Krishna, but they're not manifesting all of Krishna because they're not manifesting the highly intimate stuff. So
as individuals, would they be?
They can be individual. They can discuss with each other. Mahavishnu pulled a stunt to get Krishna to come to him, and Arjuna had to find those dying babies, those babies that died, and Mahavishnu had them because he wanted to see Krishna. And Krishna and Balaram did not always agree politically either. So the expansions are personalities that don't have to agree with Krishna, and they can talk to Krishna as 2 different individuals. However, they're not separated. We are separated expansions. We are not Vishnu Tattva anymore. So yeah, we can also have different opinions from Krishna, but we are not Krishna. So we're just part and parcel of Krishna.
You know, in that Mahavishnu pastime you just mentioned, I just read it recently, and actually Vishnu says that he refers to Krishna and Arjuna as Nara Narayan, that you're the incarnation of you're Nara Narayan, and I wanted to see this incarnation of you. But
You want to see what you too.
in other words, he's saying that Krishna and Arjuna are Nara Narayan.
Yeah.
Nara being Jiva and Narayan being Krishna. That's how we refer to them.
You want to see both of them. Anything else? Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Oh, did I see anything?
Yeah, just to expand my understanding. That made a lot of sense what you said. And so, with the main difference between the Jiva expansion and the Vishnu Tattva would be that the Jiva is subject to illusion. And that seems to make what makes the pastime, the interesting, because Krishna seems to want to be the savior. He wants to be the hero. And, we're the ones who are, even the Pandavas, to be subject to the Yogamaya illusion. But Krishna, he doesn't seem, he does in a sense.
Well, Krishna's just a whole lot bigger, too.
Yeah,
No matter
sometimes Krishna wants devotees to be the hero. He goes out of his way to make the devotees.
He likes to share. He wants the devotees to be heroes too.
Right.
The main difference, one is we are subject to because we're so tiny, and Krishna is so unlimited. Any one of his expansions is one with all of him, and Krishna's unlimited. Whereas each one of us is separated and little. That's why we get under illusion so easily, because we're all separated and little.
Yeah. Well, it seems like we're almost like perfectly imperfect.
Perfectly imperfect.
It leaves room to make mistakes because even in a spiritual sense, to have a good story, you gotta have conflict. You have to have.
But in the spiritual world, devotees are not perfect, but they have complete, perfect free will to serve Krishna or not. It's not influenced by anything else. So it's just a decision. Where it's scary for us down here to think about, when I go back up there, I could still decide. I could not, you won't decide, but you could decide. But things happen down here by accident. We stumbled into this influence, that influence, and so on. We don't understand our hidden material desire. All these things are happening, and there are modes acting on us, and sense gratification calling us. And none of that is up there. It's perfect up there. There's no anxiety there. It's just total free will. So if you decide you don't want to serve Krishna, it's not by accident. It's not really a fall in the sense that we think of a fall as an accident. It's not really a fall. It's a choice.
So then how do you understand when Devaki's lamenting over her children? It's not like she's not feeling anxiety or unhappiness.
When you're down here and you're a jiva, you get attached, so it was hard. But she was actually pretty philosophical. If you look further on in the story, she got real philosophical.
So initially it's a normal thing.
Yeah, Krishna says to Arjuna, I can remember many, many births you and I have passed, but I can remember all of them and you cannot. Why is the difference? Because Krishna has the same body in his births, and he's unlimited, he's in control of everything. Arjuna is just a jiva soul getting different bodies. Yes.
Also, it's Krishna's choice to become affected, maybe if that's the right word, by Yoga Maya, so he can fully experience the emotions that are going on in the exchanges with the devotees. So even Devaki, someone could say, well, she was lamenting that then ultimately her philosophy, prevailed, but she must have really been experiencing those feelings, because it's like how, they say the better the actor, the better the play. So for the sake of Krishna's enjoying those exchanges, everybody it's not like, they're putting it on. It's like real, sincere, like full emotions.
There are a couple of times when Krishna actually got so entranced. He likes to be entranced by his pastimes and his energies, how they work. But there are a couple of times when he momentarily was so entranced he forgot kind of that he's Krishna, because he was just so into the story. One was when Aghasura swallowed up his friends, and one was when Dantavakra in the battle with Shalva, when Dantavakra was... No, Shalva was Shalva, okay. Dantavakra didn't say it. Shalva presented a false image of his father who killed him, and for a moment there, Krishna was... And then he kind of remembered himself. Yes.
Just as Krishna he may allow himself to come under the influence of Yoga Maya. We may not allow ourselves, just as we come under the influence of Mahamaya. If you go to the bar and drink some beers, you come under the influence. So similarly, when Mother Yasoda looked into the mouth of Krishna, she came under the influence of Yoga Maya. When, so the devotees are under the influence of Yoga Maya. And the materialists under the influence of Mahamaya.
And also there's a pastime of Prabhupada where these two women, Mataji's went in to see Prabhupada, and one of the women said that her friend was there. She said her daughter is dying, and Prabhupada said, yes. He said, have you not heard me? I've been saying that that's what is going to happen. We're all facing death. And then he paused, and then he said, it's not that there isn't sadness. You're separated, and there's a sadness because of that relationship is ending. But at the same time, we know that this is not the real place, and that soul is going off to the eternal realm of bliss, and you'll be joined together.
Or just going to another body. Yeah.
Well, but in this case, we're going to say that.
Yeah.
Probably also, I would say, I have to admit that I was always surprised when everybody asked, even with Jayananda, he said, well, probably, but he would just basically be very objective about the, he just give the philosophical explanation. If he had no more material desires, he went back to Godhead. He never said, oh yes, this one. Although he did mention that Vishnu John, he saw him in a dream and he was chanting. He came to him one night. And I don't know if he said the dream. He said that he had come to him one night and he was chanting very nicely. Like that. But generally, if you ask Prabhupada, what about this devotee? I think he even was like that one, Yogendra's first wife when she died. I don't know if it was her or someone. They wrote a letter about, because they weren't Sankirtan. They died in the pursuit of Sankirtan. Prabhupada just explained very philosophical that, if they have no more material desires, otherwise they will get a good birth.
And in that good birth you can again do this devotional service anywhere, even in the heavenly planets. Were we listening to a video last night or something, or where did this come up? That even in the heavenly planets, you can, I don't know where I heard this, you can practice austerities and devotional service. It's just that you're not likely to because it's so much enjoyment, but you can. You can choose to do that. You can anywhere you go, you just continue. So it's not like a lost, oh no, they just went to the heavenly planets. It's just still, you can continue.
There is a heavenly planet. There's a Tapaloka and Mahaloka. They're
That they are austere.
They're very austere. They're practicing penances all the time. And they go up to Satyaloka or Brahmaloka. You can do that.
You can go to King Indra's planet, and all that enjoyment is there, and you can still choose to practice your devotional service.
But above Interloka, there are planets where
if you're lucky,
performing
go
beneficial austerities.
It's very risky. It's very risky. You should have a sense of urgency. You don't want to do that because look at Nala and Varamani Grieve. They were in a good family.
Yeah, you can make detours.
Money can really corrupt.
Yeah, you can make detours for sure. So we don't want to plan on that. Yes.
Also because of the influence of the time factor, how it's different in that realm. And so I heard Madhava-priya say you don't want to take the chance of getting distracted and going there and then having to come back, and then it's the end of Kali Yuga and people are hiding in caves and
you can. What I'm saying, you can go straight up from there, but it's hard. It's rare and it's hard because of the power of the kind of sense gratification that's there. But you don't have to come back down. You can just, anywhere you go, you can be a devotee. But there's a hand up here. Not a hand. No, somebody said a hand up here.
There's
Oh, it's Srimad, sorry.
here Narada Muni had difficulty in the heavenly planets, and there was one time he was desiring to get married and get into a household life, but in the heavenly planets. But you can go make advancement as you go up. The point a comment I wanted to make was that as far as Yogamaya, Krishna is always under the influence of Yogamaya, and so his devotees are also under the influence of Yogamaya, because Yogamaya is Krishna's very own will. It's his desire, it's what he wants. So it's described that in the spiritual world they're so much mad under the influence of Yogamaya that they don't remember, sometimes they engage in pastimes over and over again, and they're so entranced in Yogamaya that they don't remember, due to that, the time there is like being ever present. But Yogamaya is Krishna's will, and it's he's always, and he's acting according to his will, his own will. That is Yogamaya, and all the devotees are carrying out his will under Krishna's will, Yogamaya. They're all becoming his friend, his parent, his servants, and so on and so forth, all under Yogamaya. But also Krishna himself is under the spell of his own will. Just how we become entranced by our material desires, Krishna is entranced by his spiritual desires. Hare Krishna.
You mentioned Narada Muni, that his previous life, before he was the son of a maidservant, he was a very famous Kirtaniya in the heavenly planets. And
Before he was the son of a maidservant?
yeah.
Really? I didn't know about this one.
Oh yeah. He was I wouldn't say a Gandharva or whatever, but he was very
He was a
famous.
good dog.
Yeah,
And
He started singing country western music.
in front of these great sages at a big assembly. And he always had a following of Mataji's. And he started to glorify in his beautiful singing voice. He wasn't glorifying Krishna, he was glorifying the demigods. And that was they cursed him to take birth as the son of this maidservant. But he got the chance to serve his Bhaktivedanta.
What is this story? I didn't ever know about this.
he has a name, I forget.
We have a book that we've been keeping from you.
I know that. I see this. I see this.
Yeah, I've got...
Check it, can you research it? Because I thought that story, I mean, it may have said he was glorifying the David, but I remember reading that he was also glorifying just romance and love affairs.
Yeah, it depends on who you... But I heard Bourgeon tell it recently, so... and I really liked his classes. Yeah, and I believe it's probably... It's definitely in the Bhagavatam, and I'm sure that Prabhupada has said it also.
No, where in the Bible? Maybe a...
Maybe it's in the Bhagavatam. No, but this is, this is... yeah, well...
I don't know of, unless I read the whole Bhagavatam, so at some point I read it.
Google Vacha.
Huh?
You can Google it.
Yeah.
Google Vacha.
Yeah.
Google Vacha.
Google
I heard my Guru Maharaj say that in my
So...
Okay, well, thanks.
Yeah, so...
That explains. Yeah. But if a devotee doesn't care, we are a little insecure because we're kind of fresh out of material consciousness. And we're a little insecure about, I don't want to forget, I want to go anywhere else but go look at Vrindavan. And meanwhile, we're struggling with all these different desires and attachments and everything. So we should be comforted by, not that we say, well, we can take as long as we want, but we should still try, but not be fearful, because wherever we go, we can continue being devotees.
Kind of safety net.
Yeah, that's what,
Or
yeah,
you might be lucky and get cursed by sages.
we can go to hell and preach and chant, so there's no limit. You can be a devotee anywhere and still continue your advancement. It's the thing that we could get sidetracked along the way, so that's the danger, yeah?
Just quickly, I searched attitude, Bhagavad Gita, it turned up 15 times or so. And the first time was in the introduction where Prabhupada said that our attitude should be that of Arjuna. Quote, I believe everything that you have said. Close quote.
Also in the Nectar of Instruction,
To Krishna.
I think it's the preface of the introduction, Prabhupada says that advancement in Krishna consciousness is based on our attitude. I heard him say once, I think he said 90% of it is attitude.
I'm going to look up attitude, because I think it means actually really means the way you're facing, so let me see.
Etymology.
Attitude.
Oh, can I read the rest of that?
Okay.
It said, therefore, when the Lord says that at the time of death, whoever thinks of him as Brahma or Paramatma or as personality of Godhead certainly enters into the spiritual sky. There is no doubt of it. There is no question of disbelieving it.
So here's his attitude. I'm going to read the full definition because it gives me a choice of some rounded out definition in full, and this covers more what I was trying to say. 1, the arrangement of the parts of a body or figure, posture. 2, a position assumed for a specific purpose, a threatening attitude. 3, a valet position similar to the arabesque in which the raised leg is bent at the knee. 4, a mental position with regard to a fact or state, a helpful attitude. B, a feeling of emotion toward a fact or state. 5, the position of an aircraft or a spacecraft determined by the relationship between its axes and a reference that as a horizon or a particular star. So it's again like where you're facing. 7a, a negative or hostile state of mind. B, a cool, cocky, defiant, or arrogant manner. So it's kind of how you position yourself or how you're facing whatever in your mind or your external body. It's basically how you're facing or not facing or what feeling you're in that direction. So we can have an attitude. Originally we have either an attitude that we love Krishna and serve him and he's the center, or we have an attitude that maybe I want to be like that, so I would like to not serve him but be him.
Yeah,
So that's the original attitude choice.
You know, I was reading something the other day and it reminded me that Duryodhana also got to see the partial universal form.
Yep.
And his response was, it's just a trick.
Mm-hmm.
His attitude is not facing the right way.
Arjuna sees it,
Yeah.
and he's,
Yeah.
that's it. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
anyone else, his attitude was, we can still take it. You know,
We can still do it.
we can still beat him. You know,
Duryodhana,
we can still beat him. You know,
Yeah.
we've got a good shot at it.
Yeah.
Rupa Goswami mentions about attitude, in the metta devotion, anya vilasa kushina. That one has to be favorable.
Favorable attitude,
Favorable.
yeah, or unfavorable. So unfavorable attitude, Krishna's Maya, I suppose. Here's some enticing things over here. Okay. You can't see Krishna anymore. Anything else?
Well, I did Google Narada Muni's life. I tried to look on the database, but I couldn't find anything. But I'm not used to researching the database a lot. On Google, it immediately comes up millions and millions of years ago when Narada was a Gandharva. He neglected the order to glorify the Lord, and being mad in the association of ladies, he began to chant otherwise. Thus he was cursed to become a Sudra.
Wow, where's
But it
the...
doesn't, let's see, it says, or actually there's something from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it say what his name was then? Because there is a name, right?
There is a name given, but I haven't seen it yet.
It's got in the database.
Yeah, and it's in Canto 7, it goes on to
Okay.
describe the story. It's 7:15:72.
Wow, I must have been paying attention when I read that part. I read everything a long time ago. The whole thing a long time ago.
Well, do you remember everything?
But it didn't even like ring a bell or anything. So I read it, but apparently I didn't pay attention. Okay, thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much.
No.
So, Prabhupada, all this is about Bhagavatam.
Try Google.